بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. In the last video we spoke about pure and impure, and we gave an introduction to the topic of purification, because purification is the avenue to the prayer, is the precondition for the prayer. So purity is the quality that the human being must have in order to engage in intimate conversation with his Lord, in other words, to pray. So we talked about the things that were impure and basically made the case that we have to avoid them or remove themselves from our bodies before we can pray. But the second level of purity is that which relates to ritual impurity. And this is an impediment upon the body that prevents you from praying, even though that impediment may not be physical in nature. So we've used the translation ritual purification for this. And this is of two types. There is minor ritual purification and major ritual purification, depending upon the quality of that level of impurity that lays upon your body. If it is minor impurity, you must do minor purification to remove it, and if it is major impurity, you must do a major purification to remove it. Now, minor purification means wudu. That is the term that they use to describe it. And it is removed in the way that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ showed us to remove it, by washing various limbs of the body in a certain order with intention. This is the basic form of wudu. Certain parts of this wudu are obligatory, and other parts are sunnah, and other parts are mustahab. So obligatory are the things that are the core elements of wudu. In other words, your wudu is not considered to be a wudu without them. Sunnah are the things that are not at that level. In other words, they are not considered to be 100% essential elements of the wudu, but they are things that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ is never known to have not done. And then mustahab are things that are recommended. In other words, if you are able to do it in this particular manner or do these particular things, your wudu achieves a higher level with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the three categories of things. The first one is obligatory. Now, in the school of Imam Malik, there are 7 things that are considered to be obligatory. The first, and in some ways the most important, because no action is correct unless it is done with meaning and purpose, and it is done fi sabilillah, is intention, the niyyah. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, as the Messenger of Allah famously said. All actions are by intention, and this specifically applies to acts of ibadah. You have to be aware of what you are doing. You have to be present in what you are doing, especially in the moment that you start. So the intention to remove your state of impurity or to fulfill the obligation of wudu must be done as you commence your wudu, before you do the first obligatory element, or in the moment that you are doing the first obligatory action of wudu. Because some of these obligatory things are actions, and others of them are intentions and things relating to how you perform it. So the first one is intention. No act of ibadah is acceptable until you have made the intention to do it. If you were simply to fall into a pond and then emerge from that pond with water having touched every part of your body, you would not be in a state of wudu, because you have not made the intention to do wudu. The intention is very important. The second one is relating to how you do wudu. There are certain things that are washed and certain things that are wiped in wudu. Washing implies something in Arabic which is called dalk, which is passing the hand over the limb. Passing the hand over the limb after the water, or while the water is being poured upon that limb. That is washing. Not necessarily rubbing backwards and forwards, because anything that goes to excess is disliked. But making sure that every part of that limb has had the hand pass over it while the water is being poured on it. That is also an obligation of wudu. So that is intention. Then secondly, dalq, or passing the hand over. And the third one is called muwalat, which is making sure that you do not leave gaps between the various elements of wudu. And by gaps I mean a long period of time. In other words, you stop doing that action, go and do something else, and then come back to that action. I don't mean you pause for a few seconds, or you pause for a minute to refill your jug or something of that nature. No. I mean that there is a definite pause. For example, you're doing wudu, somebody comes to the door, you go out to the door, you let them in, you greet them, and then you come back to your wudu a bit later. That is not acceptable. And by the long time here that we are talking about, that is impermissible, we are talking about the length of time it takes for an average sized limb with an average level of dryness in an average climate to dry out. In other words, not the limb of a giant, or the limb of somebody who is especially hairy, or the limb of somebody who has especially greasy or especially dry skin, not in the Hijaz in 50 degrees, but in an ordinary sort of moderate climate with somebody who has an ordinary sized limb, the length of time that takes to dry out. Now that is usually estimated at being around somewhere, let's say around 5 minutes. But even less than that is possible. I mean, people should make sure that they are sure before they continue on with their wudu, thinking that it is only a short time. Everything in the deen is based on yaqeen, on certainty. So make sure that you are certain that the time that has passed is not long. But we'll go into what you have to do when it's a long time and a short time a little bit later on in another video. The fourth of the obligations is the first of the limbs that is referred to in the ayat in the beginning of Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum ila salati faghsilu wujuhakum. O you who believe, when you come to the prayer, faghsilu, wash, wujuhakum, your faces. So the first one of the limbs that are referred to is the face. And it is important to wash the face. In other words, for water to be poured on the face and your hands to pass over every part of it. You have to be as thorough as you possibly can, and that means even washing the bits between the nose, or washing the edges of the face which are next to the ears, and right up to the top of the forehead, where the hair habitually grows. Then after this you come to the arms, and the arms include the hands. The arms, when we talk about arms here, we are talking about from the tips of the fingers to the end of the elbow. That is the part of the arm that has to be washed. And again, water must be poured on it, and the hand must be passed over it. And you must make sure to go in between the fingers to make sure you wash every part without leaving any part without water coming to it. You start with your right arm and do the left arm. Then after that, the next one is the head. Now the head, unlike the other limbs here, is only wiped and not washed. And by wiping we mean that you wet your hands and then bring your hands while they are wet to your head, put your put your thumbs around where your temples are and your fingers together, and then wipe back, starting about from the place where the hair normally starts to grow on most people. In other words, not somebody who has lost their hair. If somebody is bald and their hairline is all the way back here, he doesn't just have to wipe the back bit. Or if somebody has a low hairline that comes onto his forehead, he doesn't have to start at the bottom of his forehead just because his hair has stemmed. No, it's where the hair normally starts, which is the top of the forehead. The obligation is to wipe once all the way to the back, making sure that if your hair is longer, you wipe to the end of the hair. That is the obligation. Then the final one of the obligations of wudu is washing the feet. Now the feet refers to the area between the end of the toes and the tops of the ankles. Every part of that must be washed, and must be, while you are washing it, of course, wiped with your hands, including the heels, and in the strongest position, including between the big toe and the second toe. That is the only area which is normally open while a person's foot is in its natural resting state. So that is the only area that should be washed. As for between the other toes, there is no obligation to wash between them.